Hello, welcome. Welcome back if you're returning, and if it's your first time, welcome to this prenatal video series. This video is going to be specifically for like late first trimester, early to early mid second trimester. Likely if you've made it this far, you're starting to feel better, that fatigue is perhaps lifting, the nausea is lifting, and you're headed towards that sweet spot where you'll remain, hopefully, for a good chunk of time. Um, so we'll just take just a moment to get centered, to get whatever props you need. If there's anything in particular that you like to have for your practice, have it nearby. My only recommendation for this class is going to be blocks or something like them. Perhaps like a couple of books, couple of Amazon boxes, or if you actually do happen to have yoga blocks, that will be good. But we will need to put our hands up on some height at some point. In addition to that, if you have like a bolster or a pillow, couch pillow, bed pillow, any kind of pillow will do. All right. Take a seat any comfortable way. Allow your eyelids to become heavy. Either let the eyes close or just a soft downward gaze. And a few centering breaths just to allow yourself to arrive in this space. And let any lingering thoughts from your day or your week fall to the wayside. Any thoughts about the days, weeks, months, minutes to come? See if those can blur into the background. And just be right here. This time is for you. This 30, 40 minutes we'll spend together. This is your dedication to yourself for today. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a big open mouth sigh. Wow. One more time. In and audibly out. Beautiful. Go ahead and come to all fours. I'm going to begin with some familiar movements and add in perhaps some unfamiliar elements to those. So widen your arms to about your shoulder width. Let's take the knees just slightly wider than your hips, and then toes to face straight back. Inhale and gently soften the belly to the earth and lift the gaze, lift the tail. And exhale, round the spine towards the ceiling. Separate those shoulder blades, draw the belly in and up. And then continue to take that at your own pace. Never overstretching the front of the belly. We even want to start that now. It will eventually become very important. Later, we want to avoid exacerbation of diastasis recti, which is the separation of that center line of your abdominal muscles. And let go of any tension in your jaw or your face. And see if in synchronicity with your breath, you can start to engage the pelvic floor. So as the belly is soft towards the earth and the lungs are full, relax the pelvic floor. And as you exhale and draw everything inward and upward, engage the pelvic floor. And it's not a clenching, but a lifting of those pelvic floor muscles, just a drawing in and up. Good. And then walk the hands forward of your shoulders and then start to take some big hip circles. Let the hips fall, not all the way unsupported forward, but, floating. And then just around to the right, back, around to the left, and forward. And if you're going in the opposite direction of me, that's totally fine. No prescription for these movements. But we do want to focus always in prenatal yoga on stability as opposed to flexibility. So not ever taking yourself to your full point of flexibility. Go ahead and change the direction of those circles. So within prenatal yoga classes, I'm going to request that you only ever work to an absolute maximum of 80% of your flexibility. And instead, we're going to try to always hug in towards the center line and resist the body's urge to just kind of dump into a movement and be flexible. All right. You can go ahead and come back to all fours. And then we'll extend the right leg straight back on an inhale and then underneath on an exhale. And just a little swinging motion and a little activation of the intrinsic core. So that's again your pelvic floor. And then those corset muscles around your abdomen, the transverse abs, hugging inward and upward. And if you feel like this is a lot of pressure on your right wrist, you can always take a block under there. And you have the option to swing that left arm forward and down while that right leg goes back and down. Inhaling as you reach, exhaling as you come back. If you want to do elbow in towards the hip and knee forward towards the elbow of the same side, there's an option here for that. If you want to hold it steady, left arm extended out, right leg extended back, that's an option as well. And wherever you are, put just your hand down, keep that right leg extended behind you, and see if you can come up onto the toes of that left leg. So left knee and left toes. Maybe we can even lift that left foot up. So it's just the knee. Maybe we can start to crawl those left fingertips forward. Maybe lift one finger up, then another, and just play with it. And then come on back. Shake the hips out a little bit. And then we'll switch to the other side. Just the leg to start. Left leg back and in. And if you indeed are feeling better, I congratulate you on having made it this far. It feels so good. It's like I remember getting this huge burst of energy. If you would like to incorporate that right arm, go ahead. And if it felt good to have the height of the block under the left hand, you can bring it, or under the right hand, you can bring it here on this side to the left. If you want to hold it steady, you can hold it steady. I remember it was just this huge burst of energy once, I think maybe 12, 13 weeks in, something like that. All right, and then bring that right hand down, come up onto the right toes. So we have two hands, right knee and right toes. Left leg is extended back. And then float those right toes. And you can walk those right fingertips forward if you would like. And these are not like levels. It's just an invitation to try something out. If it doesn't feel right for your body today, that's totally fine. Like there's no first, second, and third prize for yoga. Thank goodness, right? Who knows where I would be. All right, wiggle those hips out, back to all fours. Extend your right leg back one more time and then cross it to the outside of your left. Look over your left shoulder. Just get a little stretch along the right side of the body. And then you can even extend the heel out to get a little calf stretch in that right leg. And then come on back. All fours, extend the left leg out, cross it over, and stretch into that left side and calf. Beautiful. Come back to all fours. Tuck your toes under, sit back towards your heels, and then roll out the wrists a little bit. Yes, I'm a big fan of broken toe pose. I have like a love-hate relationship with it, but it's so important, and we are going to do it fairly often. So when you do it, even bring that pinky toe with you. If it feels like very painful or unsafe in your feet, then just back off. You can always come like this and kind of do it a little more dynamically. but we'll come back to this, especially when we do more classes aimed at getting ready for birth. You can interlace the fingers and do like I'm doing here, little fishing of the wrists. Good. And then lean forward, all fours, tap the toes, pop, pop, pop. Okay, and we're gonna take some dynamic movement here. So it's gonna begin with cow pose. So let the belly soften, draw the air in. And then exhale, you're gonna go straight from cat into sort of a different version of child's pose. And if you are growing here already, or if it feels like you have fullness, you can take the legs a little wider, or you just don't have to go back as far to give yourself room. So that's your exhale. Then you'll inhale again to cow, flip your toes, exhale to a deeply bent knee down dog. And kind of release the neck a little bit. That's your other exhale. So inhaling again, cow. Exhale through cat into child's. Inhale back to cow, flip the toes, and exhale, bent knee down dog. So every inhale is cow, and your exhales will go back and forth between cat to child's and down dog. So take it at your own pace. You don't have to go at the rhythm that I cue it. If it feels if your practice feels a little more smooth and luxurious, you can take it slower. You can pause if any particular shape feels kind of yummy. Just pause in it for a couple rounds of breath. And this is a really nice one if you ever just need a couple movements to do that hit, I think, kind of all the major players of the body, like the big joints and synchronizing breath with movement. And you sort of get into this like moving meditation where you don't have to think about too much what you're doing with your body, and you can sort of just drop down into what the breath has to offer you. Now, whenever the next time you happen to be in downward facing dog comes to be, then just pause there and walk your feet, I would say, as wide as your mat. And then start to pedal out in the feet. And in downward facing dog, we often hear press your hands forward and your feet back like you're trying to tear apart your mat. And I'm going to say do the exact opposite of that. Try to squeeze your hands and feet towards one another as if you were going to bunch up your mat underneath you. And if you think about it, if you didn't have this sticky, grippy mat and you were practicing yoga like it was traditionally practiced on like a blanket on a hard surface, if you were to push in opposite directions, you would end up on your belly. And if you're pushing in opposite directions, you're not engaging any of the muscles that are holding you up, which almost always true in yoga. Those muscles are going to be underneath you. So right now in downward facing dog, what's holding us up is underneath us. The muscles of the under parts of the arms, the abdominals. So now start to walk your feet towards the center of your mat and your hands back. And keep a slight bend in the knees. And then just bring your elbows up to your knees to rest. And then kind of slightly drop the hips and lift the head. And we're going to pause here. So we're going to take our time always to come all the way up. Now bring the hands to the knees. Your circulating blood volume is going to double in pregnancy, and it's already started to do it. So it's very common to feel very lightheaded. Go ahead and finish standing up as you change positions. So we're going to take our time with it. Hands on the hips, just some hip circles here. And change directions. So you might feel your heart racing with movements that don't really seem like they should be that strenuous, or your breath start to get rapid. So just be kind to yourself. It's okay. It's just changes in the body. You're not doing anything wrong. Come to equal standing. And then inhale the arms up. And exhale, squat down into a chair pose and cactus the arms. So I'll just turn to face you so you can see what that looks like from this angle. And then inhale, stand. And exhale back down. And again, take this at your own pace. Be mindful of the knees. If they're starting to come inward, then draw them out. And then moving the arms as if you're moving between two panes of glass. And if you notice the chest is puffing way out and the back is swaying, see if we can hug that in a little bit. Not so much that you get rounded in the upper back or tucked in the pelvis. We still want to keep the natural curvature of the spine, but just not that over exaggerated. Eventually, in pregnancy, we end up standing like this. Everything pulls you forward. So we want to practice what it feels like to hug in almost as if we're trying to flatten out the low back, but not quite. And next time you squat down, pause there and just take a few breaths. And then inhale, reach up, stand up. And exhale, fold forward. Reach for those blocks or whatever's going to act like your blocks. And inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, fold. And inhale halfway, and then we'll step the right foot forward. Now, something in prenatal yoga that's going to be different from before. Whereas before you may have had a more narrow stance, let's walk that right foot out to the right so that your feet are at least hips distance, not super wide, but like about hips distance. I say a lot wider than hips distance because hip distance during pregnancy is a little wider than you're probably used to. So go ahead and just rock back and forth into that front leg. And if you're feeling maybe tension in that back calf, calf tightness is so common in pregnancy, even early on. I'm just getting a little movement to the joints, to the hips, the knee. Good, and then step the left foot forward and the right foot back. Or if you started on the opposite, then just switch from what you had and then rock back and forth into that new front leg. And your center of gravity, your center of balance, changes every minute during pregnancy. So if you're feeling not so balanced, it's okay. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. And just take your time with transitions. Be open to the changes that are present in your yoga practice and that are coming in your yoga practice, because there are plenty. And we're going to do it together. Good. Go ahead and step your right foot forward again and left foot back again. We're going to take a variation of warrior one. So angle that back foot on about a 45-degree angle. And again, not in one straight line. This is not heel to heel or heel to arch. This right leg is a little further out to the side. Bend into that front knee, hands to the knee, come on up. Inhale, arms up as you straighten the front leg. Cactus the arms and bend that front knee as you exhale. And just back and forth. Really planting in to the feet evenly and feeling them squeeze towards one another, almost as if this front knee coming forward is doing so because your front foot is pressing down and pulling back, as opposed to letting the knee be the driving force forward. Good, and then stay in your warrior one, arms up, and then just start to tip the torso forward. And you might start to feel some fire in that right outer hip, right glute. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Use those back muscles to pull you back up. Straighten that front leg. And hands to hips. Tick-tock that back foot forward a little bit so that you shorten up your stance. Angle those toes forward. So all 10 toes facing forward, and then bring hands to blocks. And a supported pyramid pose. Get a nice stretch. Pull the right hip back, back, back. It has a tendency to want to slide forward. And we're going for a straight spine rather than something kind of curved and low down. The goal here is not to get, the forehead or the nose to the knee or the shin or anything like that. Imagine you want to put your chest way up to the front of your mat. So elongate that spine from head to tail. Good, and then go ahead and take a slight bend to that front leg. Walk your blocks forward. Steady into your right foot. Lean your weight forward, and we're just gonna lean forward and back into that ankle. If it feels okay, if your balance is feeling okay, we'll do some little glute leg lifts. So just lifting and tapping that left leg. We got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Both feet out in or equal standing. And then we're just going to step that right foot back. Angle it out on 45 degrees. Walk the left foot out to the side. Bend into that knee. Place the hands on the knee and come on up. Extend the front leg straight, arms up, inhale, and exhale into that warrior one with cactus arms. Really engaging this left glute sort of as the driver of the movement. Noticing, maybe you're feeling like, why am I so out of breath? I don't even feel like I'm moving that much. Again, you're not doing anything wrong. It's all that extra blood volume that you have. And we'll just get used to it. The breathlessness of pregnancy, I think, lasts the whole time, but has a different reason every few weeks. Good, and next time you bend your knees, stay there, straighten the arms, tick-tock forward, lean forward. Pull that left hip back, engage the glute. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on up, hands to hips. Walk that back foot in, and then all 10 toes forward. Find those blocks, come down for pyramid pose on this side. Long, long spine. I always try to bring up the image of a bicycle chain around the length of the spine. So if you can imagine pulling that bicycle chain up from, the pubic bone to the sternum to underneath the chin to elongate the front of the spine, while at the same time, the back of that bicycle chain would be pulling down. So the back of the head between the shoulder blades down to the sacrum just is a nice image. Walk those blocks forward, bend into that front knee, bend, point, and flex into that ankle, the back foot, and then lean forward and lift and lower. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand on 2 feet, bend to the knees, hands to the knees. Slowly come on up, and then straighten the legs. Good. Little hip circles, a couple times one way, and a couple times the other way. And inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, hands to blocks. Inhale up halfway. And exhale, relax down. Let the head hang heavy. Be mindful not to lock the knees back. Bring a slight bend to the knees. And then straighten the arms to lift up halfway. And then step your left leg back. Again, we want 2 lanes of traffic, not a balance beam in the feet. We're going to bring the same shape to the feet, back foot at 45 degrees. Bend into that front knee, come on up. We're going to head to warrior 2. And so if right away when you get here, if it feels kind of weird to have the feet however they are, make adjustments as necessary, but just be aware that it doesn't have to look how it used to. Arms on out. Good. Here especially, you're going to eventually have that pubic symphysis pain or sensitivity if you have it already, squeezing inward. So heel to heel, as if you're trying to bunch your mat up, or if it's really bad, then guess what? You can shorten up your stance. Ta-da! Who knew? Make your yoga practice work for you, not the other way around. Take that with you beyond pregnancy. Inhale, 2 straight arms and legs. Exhale, warrior 2. Continue at your own pace. Be mindful of that front knee. If it's kind of bending inward, draw it out. We want to strengthen those outer hips. Piriformis pain is super common later on. Good, and next time you're in warrior 2, pause there. Bring that front elbow to the front knee and reach your top arm up and over in line with your ear. Extended side angle. Squeeze the heels towards one another. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Fill yourself with breath. And then tick-tock the arms, leave the legs as they are, reverse warrior. If you feel like you're like pressing into that outer ankle, just sort of roll in, not into the inner edge of the foot, but bring that energy back in. Hug it back into the middle line. I see that a lot. People really push out that way. Fill these ribs here with air. And then come back to warrior 2. Straighten that front leg, all 10 toes to face forward, and then bring the heels in. Hands to hips, and sit on down. Whatever you like to call this shape, goddess or horse. Again, mindful of the knees. If they start to bend in, bring them out. If it feels like you're meeting some resistance, then shorten the stance or come up a little more. Make this shape work for you. You can make it dynamic. If what you desire is a little bit of work here, you can make it static. If what you desire is to be stable and feel supported. And then hands to hips, stand on up. All 10 toes to face forward. And then we're going to gently, slowly come on forward. One-legged mountain pose with your right leg down. So that could look like this. Toes of the left foot on the floor. It could look like stepping up on a block. It could look like holding onto the wall. Which you could see my arm. There we go. Or none of the above. Just let that leg float in space. And then stand on 2 feet. Bend one knee and then the other. Shake it out. Just for ease of camera angles, I'm going to turn to face the back of my mat. You go ahead where you already were. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hands to block. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold and release. Release the neck. Relax it even more than it is, as if it's like a ripe piece of fruit just about to fall off of a branch. And then this time we'll step the right leg back. Left leg will stay forward. Find whatever version of warrior 2 feels good for your body today on this side. And know that it can change from day to day, from day to night. Inhale, 2 straight arms and legs. Exhale, warrior 2 at your own pace. Again, all those same things, hugging in towards the midline. This might be a fun place to play with the engagement of the pelvic floor. This is like a little dynamic, different shape. So as you inhale, relaxing the pelvic floor. As you exhale, drawing those muscles in and up, as if it's like a little elevator from the base of the pelvis to maybe just behind the belly button. Good, and stay in warrior 2 this time. Come to extended side angle, so elbow to knee or thigh, and top arm reaches. Feel a stretch all the way from the tip of your ring finger in this top arm to the outer edge of your foot. Length, length, length. Also feeling length in this bottom side, so not collapsing. And then coming to reverse your warrior. And coming back through warrior two. Hands to hips, straighten that front leg, all 10 toes to face forward. This time we'll go into a supported malasana squat. So finding something, maybe your coffee table or a block, to sit on. Walking the feet again so that the knees are not collapsing inward. And taking this modified yogi squat. It was a big learning curve for me, not only when I did my prenatal yoga teacher training, I also happened to be pregnant at the time, just worked out that way. So it was like a double learning curve. What's a double curve? Like an S? To accept help, accept support. So, we want to like take it all on. It's okay to accept some support. So accept the support of your block. Good. And then fingertips to floor. Lift the hips. Move the block out of the way. We're going to face that same edge of the mat where you were facing towards the top of your mat. For me, it's reversed at the moment. Go ahead and come forward. Slowly come on up, and then that one-legged mountain pose on this side. Again, either at the toes, up on a block, hand on the wall, or some version of that that works for you. And then 2 equal feet. And inhale, arms. And exhale, slowly make your way to the floor. And you can orient yourself on your mat however feels good for you. We will eventually, in a supported manner, lie down, but for now you can face me, face the side, doesn't matter. So we'll go ahead and take a seated figure 4. So take your ankle over your knee. And this may already feel a little different for you than before. If you're running out of room or just experiencing fullness here, you can take this front foot a little further away, or you can maybe lean back on your elbows. I would avoid coming all the way onto your back. If you're 16 weeks or later, you may start to notice that when you lie flat, after a few moments, it kind of starts to feel like there's an elephant sitting on your chest, or you're dizzy, or you have like a rush to your head or something like that. If that ever happens, just roll to your left side. The lying on the back is no longer a thing, usually after about somewhere between 16 to 20 weeks, but in my classes, I always cue it at 16 weeks. Go ahead and extend your legs forward and switch sides. So the reason that that happens is just the weight of the baby pressing on the major blood vessel that supplies the heart. So in essence, blood is not returning back to the heart. It's bad for your baby, it's bad for you. So we always leave the head and shoulders above the level of the heart from now on. And I'll show you what that looks like in Shavasana here in a few minutes. Good. Now, find a comfy cross-legged position. If you want to put some support underneath your hips are doing an important job right now, so give them some support. How about that? And then we'll just take a very gentle twist. The twisting of the lower part of the belly, I would say like below the bra line down, it's done at this point in pregnancy. So when we do our twists, it's basically from the handprint above the belly button on up. So like a thoracic twist. And if it feels good for you today to put the neck into that twist, there's an invitation to do that. And encircle your heart with breath. If you could imagine the center of your chest, even though the heart is technically off to the side, just imagine right here. And encircle it with breath all the way around. So feeling it press the left and right sides of the rib cage under the armpits to the side and that space between your shoulder blades. And then coming back towards the center, pausing just for a moment, allowing neutrality to enter back into the spine, and then to the other side. Allowing the breath, the body, the mind to slow down. And then coming back out of that twist. Beautiful. So moving into our final resting pose, Shavasana. I feel like these shorter classes, they always go by so fast. So if you have blocks, super duper. If you don't, that's okay. If you have them, put them in like a T shape with the back one being one level higher. So if you want to do it like this or take them up one more, that's up to you. If you don't have blocks, then just stack pillows, kind of what we're going for is something like this, like a little ramp, so that when you lie back, your head is going to be higher than your heart. And if you get back there and you're like, that's not enough, then never ever anymore are we going to do this set up like this. You're going to exacerbate the diastasis recti, that separation of the transverse, the linea alba. So to get up, we always roll to one side. Wow. Okay. So for me, that wasn't high enough. So I'm going to go one more. And then if it feels nice, you can bring the soles of the feet together. Heels can be kind of far away. And the knees out wide. Arms can rest. If you want to interlace your fingers over the belly. If that's not feeling great for your legs, then they can just kind of extend outward. But I would encourage you to sort of open the angle of the legs. Let the feet flop open. If it feels good to start to open up the chest, we tend to be a very closed off culture when it comes to the shoulders and the upper chest. And this will be your supported Shavasana shape for however long you need it. And I will guide you through the first few moments, and then the video will end, and you can continue this Shavasana for as long as you need it today. So if you feel so inclined, close your eyes and just focus on the rise and fall of your chest and belly with your breath. Release any tension between the eyebrows or the corners of the eyes. Relax the jaw. If you notice that your mind starts to travel backwards or forwards in time, just gently, lovingly bring it back. Back to the breath, back to this moment. Opening the hips, opening the heart, the chest, opening the mind to this experience. Being open to the changes in your yoga practice, the changes in your body, the changes in your mind. And at this time, draw to mind one thing about yourself for which you feel grateful. And hold that thought close to your heart. And take a deep breath in. And fully exhale. If it's time for your practice to end, roll to one side before sitting up. If you have the time to allow yourself to rest here, then give yourself that gift.